In the year 1211, thousands of people saw something that would haunt them for the rest of their lives. A massive city, rising from the ground glowing with lights, towers, and walls only to disappear completely before sunrise. No ruins were left, no ashes, just silence. This isn't a fairy tale or a legend. This is one of history's most terrifying and authentic unsolved mysteries. Throughout history, cities have been built, destroyed, and eventually forgotten, buried under layers of time. But what if a city never truly existed in our world except for one single, impossible night? The story we're diving into today isn't based on folklore. It comes directly from real historical records, ancient monastic texts, and eyewitness testimonies that continue to baffle historians and scientists even now. Get ready, because this is the story of the lost city of the sky. It all began on a cold autumn night in medieval England. Villagers living near the River Thames were settling in, preparing for sleep under a dark, moonlit sky. Suddenly, the entire horizon changed. A brilliant, ethereal glow appeared, illuminating the landscape. At first, people thought it must be a strange storm approaching, maybe lightning far off in the distance. But then, as they stared, they saw something utterly impossible. A massive city, seemingly floating just above the land. It had everything a real city would have: tall, imposing towers, solid stone walls, windows that glowed from within, and even bridges that seemed to stretch through the empty air. The sight was overwhelming, but it wasn't just a vision. People heard things. The distinct sound of church bells began to ring out from the phantom city. Smoke was seen rising from its chimneys, as if thousands of families were gathered around their hearths. Some villagers even swore they could hear the faint sounds of life, the murmur of voices, distant laughter, the echo of footsteps on cobblestone streets. As you can imagine, panic spread like wildfire. Priests, believing it was a divine sign, began ringing their own church bells in response. Others fell to their knees in the muddy fields, convinced it was Judgment Day, the end of the world unfolding right before their eyes. For hours, this impossible city remained suspended in the sky, silent and unmoving, a spectacle of both terror and wonder. And this incredible event wasn't just seen by a handful of scared villagers. It was recorded by many different people, from different walks of life, across a wide area. Monks from nearby monasteries, men who dedicated their lives to truth and record-keeping, documented the phenomenon in official church annals. Travelers who were just passing through the region reported seeing the same unbelievable, glowing city. Even royal messengers, carrying important letters for the king, mentioned the strange celestial city in their correspondence. One monk, a man named Gervas of Tilbury, gave a particularly chilling description. He wrote, "A city greater than London itself, hanging in the air like a vision from heaven." Another chronicler noted its strange stillness, writing, "It stood unmoving, as if anchored to the sky." These aren't just stories passed down through generations. These written records still exist today, preserved in archives, a testament to a night that defied all logic. Then, just as dawn began to break, as the first hint of morning light touched the horizon, the city began to fade. The lights in its windows dimmed one by one. The sharp outlines of its towers and walls started to blur, as if dissolving into the morning mist. And slowly, bit by bit, it vanished completely. When the sun finally rose, brave and curious villagers rushed to the fields where the city had hovered all night. They searched for any sign, any proof of what they had seen. But there was nothing. No scorched earth. No deep marks on the land, no fallen stones, no remnants of a fire, no signs of construction. It was as if the city had never been there at all. It had vanished without a trace. For centuries since, historians, scientists, and thinkers have tried to explain what happened on that bizarre night. The most common scientific theory is that it was a rare and complex atmospheric illusion, a type of mirage known as a fata morgana. These mirages can happen over oceans or deserts, bending light to make objects on the horizon appear distorted, stacked, and sometimes floating. Others have suggested it could have been a combination of ball lightning and dense fog, creating shapes that the human mind interpreted as a city. But skeptics are quick to point out the massive holes in these theories. Fata Morgana mirages are silent. They don't produce the sound of ringing bells or human voices. They also don't typically last for hours on end, fixed in one spot in the sky. And they certainly don't explain why people saw smoke rising from chimneys. No simple natural explanation seems to fit all the details recorded by the witnesses. This is where we enter the realm of a much darker, more forbidden theory, one that most historians are hesitant to discuss openly. In ancient texts from cultures all over the world, there are descriptions of cities that exist between worlds in dimensions parallel to our own. These are places that only become visible when the veil between realities thins, when the conditions are just right for a brief, terrifying overlap. Some believe the villagers of 1211 didn't see an illusion. They witnessed a genuine, parallel civilization, a city from another dimension that accidentally bled through into our world for a few hours. What makes this theory even more disturbing is that similar events were reported in other countries around the same time. Records from China, from France, from the Middle East, all describe mysterious, unexplainable cities appearing in the sky and then vanishing just as quickly. Were these all isolated incidents, or was something happening on a global scale? As time went on, the official narrative began to change. Church leaders, who had initially recorded the event, started to suppress the story. They stopped discussing it. Some of the original records were sealed away in private archives. Others mysteriously disappeared altogether. But why? Why would they try to erase such a momentous event from history? Perhaps because it challenged everything people believed about their reality, about heaven, and about the earth. A city with no origin, no history, and no physical presence was a concept dangerous for the medieval mind. It suggested that the world was far stranger and less understood than anyone wanted to admit. In our modern era, historians and scientists have revisited these ancient documents armed with new technology. They've used satellite mapping to analyze the topography of the area and advanced atmospheric science to model the weather conditions of that time. Their conclusion: they still can't explain it. No known natural phenomenon fully fits the detailed, consistent evidence provided by the eyewitnesses. To this day, the event of 1211 remains officially, stubbornly unexplained. So the question is left for us to ponder. Did thousands of people in medieval England witness a once-in-a-millennium natural illusion, a perfect storm of light and weather that tricked their minds? Or did humanity get a fleeting glimpse of something it was never meant to see? A lost city, not buried under sand or sea, but hidden in a place just beyond the limits of our world. And if it appeared once, who's to say it won't appear again? Thanks so much for watching. If you find these historical mysteries as fascinating as I do, make sure to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the unknown. See you next time.